The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
Pollard streaks in. Touchdown. Parsons has sacked it. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Nick Harris, John Machota, and Kyle Yeomans.
It's a Thursday edition of Talking Cowboys presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, live from the Star in Frisco, Texas, in the SWBC studios. Glad you're with us as we preview the Cowboys and the Eagles coming up on Sunday, week 9 of the NFL season. We have John Machota, Nick Harris, Isaiah Stanback rocking the fresh sweater.
It is I.
Chris Meem in the back. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
How are you doing is the question, Kyle.
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked. I'm doing fantastic.
Why?
Because the Texas Rangers are world champions. Ooh, that sounds good to say.
How about that, man?
Holy cow.
How about them Rangers?
That?
Took a while. Took 52 years in Texas, 64 years as a franchise. They got it done, though.
It's unbelievable. It doesn't feel real yet.
No, it feels like a dream. I was telling Isaiah this. Isaiah's a big Seattle Mariners fan, so of course we've always gone back and forth. I worked in the Mariners organization, but when I was done with my games in West Virginia, whenever I was calling minor league baseball, I would go home, and on the drive home, I would tune into the Rangers games and listen to the end of whatever was happening because we were Eastern Standard Time. I would turn it on, Eric Nadel, Matt Hicks, Jared Sandler, and I'd listen to the end of the Rangers game. And so I've kind of had my toe in both camps previously, but I was born and raised a Rangers fan. I grew up a Rangers fan. Die hard. I mean, if I had to rank the 4 teams as a child, of course now one pays the bills, so go Cowboys. But if I had to rank the 4 teams of my fandom, the Rangers would have been number 1 from the jump. Number 1, Cowboys number 2, and that was it was jumbled from there depending on if the Stars or Mavs were good. But to see them finally get it done, it was surreal because it always felt like it was something you only saw on MLB The Show.
Yeah.
You only saw in video games or in your wildest dreams, especially as they lost 102 games 2 years ago, lost 94 games last year. You felt like they were moving in the right direction. You didn't realize that this was the end result of a 2023 season. And it brought up a lot of emotions, brought up a lot of nostalgia of going to the ballpark as a kid and really forming the early love for sports with my parents and with my sister and just being around the game as it was.
Yeah.
Finally got it done last night, and it felt like the culmination of all those emotions. Got a little emotional last night. I was in Waco, actually. Got to watch the final outs with my parents, which was special. And we did it courtside at the Farrell Center because I had to call a volleyball game for Baylor and OU. So I was courtside after the game was over, and we pulled it up on my iPad and just kind of went from there and watched the final outs. So really, it was a cool moment. It was a special moment. And then the whole way home, tuned into our flagship, 105.3 The Fan, and just kind of listened to the celebration.
Yeah.
Kind of soaked it all in.
Yeah, I think a lot of Rangers fans share your sentiments and nostalgia for sure, just because of how close they came in 2011.
Yeah.
It was so bad that even when they were up 5-0 last night, everyone knew they were about to win. You get down to that final strike, and you're like, oh my God, we can't do this again. So, but no, it was really cool looking at the Twitter timeline for from 10 p.m. until 1 a.m. last night. Just everybody on there just, posting pictures of loved ones that may have passed. My pops, he's passed since 2011, so being able to see that happen here in 2023, it was super cool. So, it's why sports are special, and it kind of reminds you in times like these.
Yeah, my grandpa, same thing. He's a huge Cowboys fan, or was a huge Cowboys fan, was a huge Rangers fan. He's passed since 2011. He watched it with us in 2011, so he's smiling. My dad's dad is still with us. Got to see it last night. Yeah. Got to see the championship, and that it's special both ways because it's like that weight's lifted off your shoulders. I know Cowboys fans will feel that way when they get back to that point, and it could happen this year. You never know how sports goes. It could happen way down the line. Who knows? But it'll feel very similar because of the weight that it has been. But it's still not 52 years, and that's what the Rangers got rid of last night.
It's pretty fascinating, though, too. When you mention the Cowboys thing there, I'm not a Rangers fan. I grew up in Detroit. I'm a Tigers fan. But from watching how this whole season has unfolded for him, it's like one of those, if it was comparable to the Cowboys, it would be like 2014, where you're just kind of like, where did this come from? Like, how did this all of a sudden, like, I mean, you just go to the end of the regular season. I don't think anybody was picking the Rangers to win the World Series, let alone go win 11 road games. I was telling Beam when I got in here this morning about how if you would have told me that I couldn't watch any of it, but told me this was the result, I would have been like, oh, was there some way that, like, Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer both got healthy and they just were lights out throughout the playoffs? None of that. Yeah. And then the part that surprised me the most is how much of a spark Evan Carter was to this whole thing. Just to think, like, what was it, a month ago? He was playing down the road in Frisco, and then he gets put right into. It's not like they're like, yeah, go ahead, you're kind of hot right now, hit ninth or whatever. I mean, they put him right in the middle of that lineup and played like, you know, none of that fazed him. Like, there was just so many levels to it that it's surprising. Like I could see it taking a lot of people like a while for it to actually set in, like how everything just came together as quickly as it did.
The Rangers having the parade in Arlington is very fitting, and I think it's exactly where it needs to be, because the ballpark was there, the old ballpark was there, the new park, of course. If the Cowboys win a Super Bowl, they got to do it in downtown Dallas, right? Like, this isn't going to be a trend where just everyone does it in Arlington, right?
We were joking pre-show that there would be 3 different stops. It would be Dallas, Arlington, and Frisco, and it'd be over the course of 3 days. It'd be like an ACL weekend. Like, you have a wristband, and that's your way to get in, and it's just like it's like a weekend festival of lights of Cowboys fans. It would be too big to be able to put it in Arlington. There's no way that it would work out. But man, special times. I don't want to take up most of the show talking about the Texas Rangers. If you want to talk Texas Rangers, you can find me on Twitter, because I would love to talk about the world champions forever. Because they're world champs.
Really quick, I think I'm coming down with a cold, and I will not be here tomorrow. Just want to let you guys know because of the parade.
Oh, yeah. You're not going to be here tomorrow?
No.
I'm coming to do the show, and then I am bouncing to Arlington.
I'll be here tomorrow.
I am, I will be here, but then I will be in Arlington, which, by the way, if you're going to go to the parade, hit us up. It'll be fun. Isaiah, you want to go to the parade?
I'm good.
You good?
Yeah.
Darn.
I've been in a parade before.
Yeah, you have. That was not a slight flex.
What's the best part about a parade, other than the certain festivities? But best part about a parade,
it's just everybody's. Sorry, for me it was the families.
Yeah,
like all the families. Like, at least when we did our parade, I say our. I guess back then with the Giants, the families had their own float.
That's
cool.
They
had their own. They were on buses. It was pretty dope. So they got an opportunity to go through it. Like, they weren't subject to just wait until we got back. Like, they were in a bus and going through the parade as well. So that was pretty doggone dope. The wife was pregnant at the time, so that was kind of crazy.
Wow.
But going through that with your teammates and being on there and seeing all the literally millions of people, not thousands, it was millions of people on the streets.
Yeah.
And for me, like, the thing that always plays in my head is looking up. And those freaking high tower buildings down there in New York, and looking up and just seeing freaking paper. People just literally just throwing paper. I wouldn't even confetti. It's just people just
copy paper.
People just cracking their window open, because it only goes open so far. They're just like chucking pieces of paper down as far up as you can see, and you just look up and it's just like pouring down. It's freaking amazing. I think I have it like on my old hard drive, just in my safe somewhere. But it was dope, man.
So y'all were in Manhattan, not New Jersey.
Bro, no, we were. They
weren't in the Meadowlands.
Just making sure.
They weren't going down the Jersey Shore.
No, we did the parade downtown, but then once we finished the parade downtown, they did the whole little presentation, the key to the city. So, like, I had the key to the city in my safe, all that jazz. But then we bust back to the stadium. And apparently the day before, they had opened up the stadium, and people, or not open it up, but allow people to start lining up. So when we got back to the stadium, we walked in, like literally walked in like it was a game. Right? Smoke, everything like that. We're walking out the tunnel, and the stadium is flooded with people. I mean, it is packed. And Naughty by Nature is up there performing, and they got the leather jackets on.
That's
and
awesome.
It was freaking dope. It was freaking dope. It was so, you want to talk about surreal. That was freaking surreal. You literally walk out with the smoke, and you can hear the music playing, and you walk out of it, you come out of it, and you just see nothing but people just go, It was wild.
Chanting Eli.
Yeah, that's what. I can't believe that just went out over our airwaves.
So I would love for Dallas to experience that in my lifetime. That would be That'd be awesome.
Same here. That's the thing is, I mean, I grew up a Rangers fan, but I've also never seen a Cowboys win either. Mm-hmm. I've never seen a Cowboys win a Super Bowl. That's why, and I think we've had this conversation previously whenever the frustrations of things come up along the way. I want it to happen so bad. It's the same yearning that I had for this. But even now, since I work inside the building and I know these guys personally and I've been around this for a long time, maybe even more so than the yearning that I had for the Rangers. The Rangers, like I said, it's more of a surprise than it was an expected thing. This Cowboys team has been really good. And I know a lot of people might dissect what I just said and said they've been really good and, they haven't made it this far or that far or wherever it's been. Their roster has been good enough to make a run. They just haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
And they may not do it. They might do it. Who knows? But if that moment comes, then all of a sudden, I think it would be one of the greatest sports moments in this city's history.
I'll tell you this. I looked up last night, and this is kind of to your point, John. When you look at the end of the regular season for the Rangers and just kind of where they were, and then they end up winning the whole thing, you kind of look at the Cowboys, and you're like, okay, they've had some bumps and bruises along this regular season so far, but really good opportunity to go into Philadelphia this weekend. And if they come out with a win, there's a lot of confidence on the other side, not only with the championship celebrations that are happening here after a regular season that was, I would say, is very similar to what the Cowboys have experienced so far.
Yeah.
Some really bad stretches that make you look like the worst team in baseball. Then
bullpen.
Really great stretches. Exactly.
Holes in certain parts of the team that you need to fill for the Cowboys.
Like bullpen, red zone.
Exactly. I mean,
bottom of the order.
It does compare.
Yeah, it does. So, maybe playoff time, these guys are ready to go on the road and win 4 games maybe.
Who's going to be the spores for them?
To close it
Deuce
out.
Vaughn.
Now that would be interesting.
I think Deuce Vaughn stepping into a big role with Evan Carter.
Yeah, that's true.
That would be the Evan Carter
Spores
role.
has to be somebody that I don't know.
Yeah, somebody.
I can't
Marquise
even think of a comp.
Dude,
I
it
really
would have to
can't.
the movement
it'd be
on
like
his
Jonathan
pitches
Hankins.
are nasty.
Yeah.
Oh, bro,
Yeah.
that thing was. I don't even know how you hit that.
It'd be like
don't.
Jonathan Hankins if he got like 3 forced fumbles in the playoffs
Yeah.
or something like that, and like a pick 6 somehow.
Yeah, like a decent player, been
Yeah.
around for a little bit, but not like a game changer. And then he comes in and just
Or
does
Gallup
his job.
with like back-to-back 100-yard games.
Deal.
The Evan Carter comp is definitely would be Mozzie Smith.
Yeah.
Where like the second half of the season, he just really takes his game to another level, fills in a spot that they really need help in at defensive tackle. I would think that would be the closest.
I guess defensive tackles are the only comparisons we have to the Texas
We just want them to be heroes so bad.
Let's hit some news and notes. We're still running deep into the first segment, but news and notes outside of the Rangers being world champions. The Cowboys were back on the practice field yesterday.
Yeah, they were, and it was the coldest practice that they've had so far in the 2023 season. And practice report, you got Tyron Smith, who did not practice as he's continuing to nurse his neck injury. And again, I think we mentioned yesterday about how Jerry Jones has a little bit of confidence there still going into this week, but he had confidence last week, so still something to monitor as the week gets closer. Jaron Kearse did not practice with a toe injury. That was something new that popped up on the injury report. And then Michael Gallup, battling an illness, did not practice. And then, if you guys recall, Chuma Edoga going down in the, I believe it was late in the third quarter, early in the fourth quarter. Chuma Edoga going down what looked like a scary injury initially, just an ankle, a low sprain, and he was limited yesterday. So good news on the Chuma Edoga front in case Tyron Smith cannot go. But definitely both of those guys, I think that's going to be the highlight of the week and something you need to keep track of.
Which one of those injuries concerns you the most, John, based off of it being on the injury report? Does it start with Tyron, or is it one of the others like a Jaron Kearse, another starter out?
Well, with Tyron, it's every week that's a factor. So I guess, that would be number one because of his importance. But, Jaron Kearse, didn't really expect him to be on there, so that was kind of interesting to see what he does today. That would be the one that, when I got the email, that jumped out to me the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Kearse. Big toes don't really just go away. So if he is experiencing something with his big toe that is concerning enough to keep him out of practice, and it's probably going to be bothering him even on game day, whether he plays or not.
I think the number one thing, it's got to be Tyron. Chuma Edoga being back and limited makes me feel better. I still want to see what Awesome Richards can do up with the ones, up with the starting offensive line. And there was lots of encouragement from him out of camp. There were lots of high praise for him out of camp, and he never really got a chance to run with the ones. It was mostly the 2s and 3s that he would rotate in with. So I'd like to see a little bit more Awesome Richards. Maybe we'll get to see that through practice. Media won't, but from just a general standpoint, I'll see if we can talk to him today too. See if he can maybe find his way into that left tackle spot and just kind of fill in should Chuma Edoga not be able to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, you're talking about Austin Richards correctly, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Austin Richards, I've been able to chop it up with him in the locker room a couple of times. He's a Philly native, so he's going to be going back to Philadelphia, looking to get some family out there. So if he's able to touch the field, I know that'd be a big moment for him. Next news and note, Trayvon Diggs was in the locker room yesterday for the first time since he suffered his ACL tear last month. He also had surgery on that knee last week. And he was just able to talk. He talked for about 6 or 7 minutes and gave us some good stuff, just how he's handling it physically, mentally. And he looks like he's in a good spot. He said he's been able to pick up some new hobbies, and he's been able to bond more with his son. He's been able to watch a lot of football. He's like, I feel like I haven't watched this much football since I've been in the league. The quote that really stood out: everything happens for a reason. Just got to roll with the punches. It's all in God's plan. Just got to get healthy, come back stronger and faster. He said, I'm not worried about overcoming this injury. It's 2023. There's a lot of new technology that's going to help me get back. I'm not worried about it. Courtesy of our John Machota to my right on the tweet. But yeah, it looked like he was in good spirits. He also mentioned how Jordan Lewis was one of the first people he had reached out to whenever he had the injury, or reached out to him, vice versa. And Jordan Lewis, it took him 13 months to get back on the field and get ready, and just that mental aspect. I think that's a big part of the injuries like this. So it looks like he's battling that correctly so far. And fortunately or unfortunately, whichever way you want to look at it, there's a lot of guys who have had ACL tears on this team. So there's going to be a lot of support on his back.
Isaiah, you've always talked about it. Just whenever you went through your injuries and you were out for a significant amount of time, you needed that support to get through it. It seems like Diggs is getting that support.
Yeah, community is everything. As he mentioned, the physical aspect that's going to heal. There's plenty of doctors, trainers, therapists, technology, all that stuff's going to help you get back physically. But the mental aspect, and feeling like you're not isolated, even as high profile of a player as he is, you still feel lonely. You still feel like nobody's paying attention to you, nobody cares about you. And you mentioned that it's his first time back in the locker room. That's a while not being in the locker room. You this time of the year, it's like waking up and your wife not being in bed. It's like, hey, what the heck? Like, where you at? So like going into the locker room, I know that meant a lot to him. Having your teammates actually reach out to you, if that was the case, that means a lot to you, because you're not dealing with this by yourself anymore, and you're not invisible. So, shout out to all his teammates that are going to be out there continuing to support him. Unfortunately, there's a lot of guys that are in his same boat, obviously, on this roster right now. So He has that community, but that community is not the same as, the guys that are on the field. You still want to be around your bros.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised to see him in there. And I do think that's a good sign, because of Jordan Lewis dealt with some of that, it sounds like, from what he had said about, you just kind of go to a dark place when all of a sudden you're not around everybody, and it really meant a lot to him that coaches and players reached out to him, so we wanted to make sure he was doing that same thing, it sounds like, for Trayvon Diggs. And Diggs was at the game I believe in L.A. He said he's not going to this one in Philly, but I think it's a good thing to have any guy that's on the team still be around the team after they get hurt. So often you see, like, I know, especially in the NBA, like, a guy has a season-ending injury, you really never see that guy that much, even sitting on the bench and that. So yeah, I think it's good for him to be in there, and he brings up a good point. I mean, it's 2023. He said 2024, but the advancements in medical technology, it's not like that. This is, you're never going to be back to being a good player in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as he stays on the right track in that, I mean, he should still have a very productive, NFL career.
It's interesting that added human element that gets added into it with these injuries, because a lot of times it's like, next man up, this guy's out, got to get him out of the equation. But there is a human element side to it, and there always will be with this game. And with Trayvon specifically, he was trending in the right direction. We talked about the injury when it happened. This defense was elite. It was off to a historic start. Since then, it's been rocky, and missing Diggs was a big part of that. So the fact that he is still remaining plugged in, and I'm sure the guys in the locker room that are still playing probably appreciate it just as much as Trayvon Diggs appreciates guys reaching out. I think him being in the locker room probably helps the mindset of these guys going into a game like Philadelphia, where they know that they've still got teammates that have their backs, including Trayvon Diggs, who's no longer on the field, but certainly has the same same sort of production, same sort of emphasis for his teammates around him.
Yeah, for sure. And last news and note here, nose and newt. Speaking of going back to Philly, Micah Parsons, Harrisburg native, going back to Philadelphia. Looking forward to the game. He's definitely circled this one every year. But this is something we kind of talked about yesterday in previewing the Cowboys defense against the Philly offense. He said that we got to rush our butts off. Most games are one up front. For us to win this game, we got to win up front. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. I think that's where this game starts.
Okay. Do you agree?
I totally agree.
Got to get after it, right?
Yeah, you got to be able to handle those fellas.
Yeah. I think there's no way you win this game if you're not uberly aggressive. And, I mean, yes, you're going to have to make the right reads, but you can't play this game on your heels. That's not how it happens. All right.
They go crazy, John.
We're heading into our first segment. When we come back, it's time for QB Vision. First break, not first segment. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm the world champions.
Okay, long night.
Oh, it's fine. It's whatever. I can say what I want. The Rangers won it all.
Drunk
All
on
right.
champagne.
When we come back, we will hit QB Vision. It's time to preview the Dallas offense versus the Philadelphia defense. What does Isaiah Stanback have in store from his scouting report? When we come back with more Talking Cowboys.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Black Rifle Coffee Company serves premium coffee to people who love America. When you drink Black Rifle coffee, you are directly supporting veterans, law enforcement, and first responders in your community. Black Rifle's expert roasters love coffee almost as much as Texas loves football, so it makes sense that America's Coffee partnered with America's team. Go online at blackriflecoffee.com and fuel up with the official coffee of the Dallas Cowboys. That's blackriflecoffee.com to fuel up today.
Cowboys fans, after that move, we've just coined the term Rowdy Replay. Let's roll back the tape.
Okay, there's our mascot Rowdy cheering on the boys. And now he's on his phone, on his Bank of America mobile banking app?
Staying on top of his finances with his virtual financial assistant, Erica.
Bank of America's digital tools are so impressive. Cowboys fans just can't stop banking. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/can't-stop-banking.
Erica is only available in the English language. You must download the latest version of the mobile banking app, only available on select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. Member FDIC.
Welcome back into Dear Doctor, the show where I answer life's questions with an ice-cold can of Dr. Pepper. Sheila, let's hear from our next caller, would you?
Dear Doctor, my friend supported me during a tough time, but what's the right gift that says, thanks for being a shoulder to cry on?
Okay, this one's easy. I say give her a delicious Dr. Pepper. Nothing says, thanks, girl, better than a one-of-a-kind soda. Yes, any Dr. Pepper flavor will do. Now, just a reminder that I don't need to be a real doctor to know that Dr. Pepper is the one you deserve.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Back here on Talking Cowboys, this portion of the show is brought to you by Quaker Oats, a super trusted superfood. Quaker Oats, the official oatmeal sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. What?
You were just finishing off your Quaker Oats there, as you were saying.
No, I'm not even going to talk. Talking Cowboys presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, the official coffee of the Dallas Cowboys as well. Before this show goes off the rails, let's get into some...
Wide 80. Wide 80.
It's time for QB Vision with Isaiah Stanback.
This is a big one. This is probably the biggest matchup of the year offensively to this defense. What you got in store for us today?
Well, I can tell you guys some things that you guys probably already know. Also bring up a couple of things that you may need to pay more attention to.
So write it down, everybody.
Yeah.
I got my notes open on my phone. Let's go.
All right. The reality is this defense is solid. Right? There's no secret.
What?
I'm not telling you anything that you don't know in regards to that.
I didn't know that.
However, they were exposed a little bit last week.
Oh.
And shout out to Eric Bieniemy and the Washington Commanders for putting some things on tape that really might have opened up the window. You know, I'm always using Friday references. It's like the window open with Debo. Like he's gonna lift that thing open. So I'm hoping that Coach McCarthy saw some things that he can now expose with this defense. And some of the things.
Was it the blueprint?
Yeah, it might have been the blueprint. It might have been that Vic Fangio. So I think so. I truly do believe so.
Only the real Talkin Cowboys OGs remember that.
Exactly. So let's get into it. Coverage wise, what can you really expect out of these guys? They're a single high team. These guys don't like playing two safeties. Two high safeties is not their thing. They're near the bottom of the league. I think 21st, somewhere around there, in terms of playing split safeties. All right, meaning that they'll start out with two safeties up top, and then they do a really good job of delaying right before the snap or even after the snap in terms of which safety is going to roll down into a single high coverage. They want to get down a single high. They want to play man-to-man coverage. They want to be in nickel. They are in nickel, meaning the 5 DBs, they're in that 80% of the time. 80% of the time. So you think about a team that's playing nickel, you have to take Dallas out of it. Dallas doesn't play a ton of nickel. Dallas is actually number one in the league for dime, meaning that they play 6 because of the safety situation. And they have a good rushing defense up front. These guys feel confident playing nickel with 5 DBs on the field. That's not necessarily their scheme. Their scheme is their front 7. No, that's their scheme. They feel super confident with the guys that they have on the front defensive line, much like Dallas does. But it's different. Dallas feels confident with their pass rushers versus these guys feel confident with their pass rushers and their rush defense, interior defense alignment. And it allows for them to play 80% nickel. It allows for them to also play primarily man. These guys want to play man coverage dang near the whole game if they could, but a lot of times they'll still I almost said the other word. They'll still mess around with you in terms of.
Go ahead, say that.
Yeah, you know what I was going to say. They'll still mess around with you in terms of needing to identify what the actual coverage is. Even though they want to play man, they'll still roll in 3. They'll still roll in 4. They'll still roll in. When they don't really play a straight 2, they'll usually play a cover 6, meaning they'll play cover 4 to one side and roll coverage to cover 2, usually down to the boundary. Okay, so they'll roll the corner down, roll the safety over the top, usually to the boundary, to play cover 4 off on the field side. So when you look at it from that perspective, you can kind of put them in the category in certain downs, usually right third and long situations, as the Rams, as the Chargers, because the Rams and the Chargers played primarily cover 4, and we've seen how productive that was versus those coverages. So I don't foresee that happening a ton, but when you find yourself in those down and distances, if you do see roll coverage on one side, most of the time, if you go to the field side, you're going to get that cover 4. Your guys should be open the way in which they have been the past few games. But man coverage, what issues does that present? Well, in the West Coast offense, we've seen that present some issues in terms of getting off the line of scrimmage, in terms of creating space. That's when these condensed sets, that's when motions, that's when shifts, all these things really come into play, getting guys off of you, right? As we like to say, like if I come up to the line of scrimmage and JM walks up on me right now, okay, I want to go put myself even in like a little return motion, right? Like I'm going to the center, come right back. Right now, guess what? You've had to back up. Right, you have to back up, and that gives me the space I need to now run my slants, run my outs, my ends, whatever else that they want to run in this particular type of offense. So that's something that can help them. They are a base 4-3 defense. That's what they are. They are a 4-3 at heart, and they can be a 4-3 because they have a plethora of guys. They have more defensive alignment than you can ever imagine. We talked about that this week, obviously, with some of the moves that were made in the NFL. However, I feel as if they are most dangerous when they're in a 3-4. They run a 4-3 base, meaning 4 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, okay? Or if they're running 2 linebackers and running an extra DB in there, however they want to facilitate it. But I feel that they're most dangerous when they are in their 3-4. And the reason why I say that is these guys are at the top of the league in terms of pressures. 135 pressures through 8 games. That is insane. I think that's an average of almost 17 pressures per game on a quarterback. That's the bad news. The good news is Dak Prescott has completed 70% of his passes versus pressure.
Nice.
So we'll take that all day long.
That's a win.
That's a heck
Good job,
of a
boys.
Win. Yeah, that's a heck of a
Well done,
win.
everybody.
Okay, so pressure if you want to, but their pressure isn't coming in the form of blitzes. Sorry, Kyle. So they're not exposing themselves to typical openings in their defense because of the pressure that they're eliciting, right? So they're not blitzing to create the pressure. They're using their front guys to create the pressure. And who are those front guys? I don't like that as much either. You know, when they go down to their four down linemen, it's whoever they want to rotate in there. But when they go down to their three down linemen and 4 linebackers, quote unquote, they're putting their big fellas in there. And the reason why I don't like that is because they're putting their nose tackle, who is Big Jordan Davis, they're putting him isoed on the center.
That's fun.
That's not fun. I don't like that at all, actually. Okay, Jordan Davis on Tyler Biadasz, 1-on-1. So when you see a 3-4, freaking hold on to your seats because you literally have 345 pounds lined up over Tyler Biadasz, who is typically considered to be light in the butt. And he's really strong. Okay, now who's next to him? All right, well now next to Big Davis, okay, not in the 1 shade, not in the 2 or 3. All right, these guys are gonna be in the 5 shade, meaning they're gonna be just outside the guards. Okay, so they're gonna really try to force you to double team them with your guard and your tackle. They're gonna split the guard and the tackle. So Big Davis is manned up on the center. They're gonna put. Who are they going to put in there? They're going to put
Hassan Reddick.
Yeah, they're going to put Hassan. Well, no, not Hassan Reddick's going to be standing up. They got they have Jalen Carter and Fletcher Cox.
Milton Williams, pride of Louisiana Tech, also.
Yeah. So, but you got Big Jordan Davis over your center. Okay, you got Jalen Carter in between your guard and your tackle, and you have Fletcher Cox in between your guard and your tackle.
Yeah.
It's a lot of strength.
That's a lot of grown man and a lot of strength right there. Okay, that's
quick update. Let me just give you a quick update here. All right, so from the injury report yesterday, Jalen Carter dealing with a back issue, but he was full, even though they did a walkthrough. This is simulated on what he would have been. Jordan Davis was limited hamstring. Sorry, go ahead.
There we go. I appreciate that. Thank you. So this is barring all injuries, right? If these guys are healthy, 4-3, I think that you can expose their 4-3. I think you can run all over them, to be honest with you.
Wow.
I think that it allows for you to get your double teams. It allows for you because their defensive ends like to stay so wide in the 4-3 that you can keep them out with your tackles and your tight ends. Just push the defensive ends out, and then you have those combo blocks on the inside with your center and your guard and your tackle. Okay, so you can do combo blocks all day long versus their 4-3. But when they go 3-4, you can't double team because your center can't get off the ball. Big Jordan Davis, he's literally pushing you back. Not only is he big, he's strong as all get out.
Yeah.
So he's going to force you into the backfield, if not have a stalemate at the line of scrimmage, so you can't work up to the next level. Now your guards and your tackles have to respect the fact that Jalen Carter and Fletcher Cox are splitting the difference between them. Oh, and then by the way, you have Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick that are going to be coming from the outside. So if you respect their defensive ends, which you have to, because their defensive ends are doing doggone good this year. Okay, they got 5.5, 6.5 sacks, whatever it might be. Then you're isolating your tackles, right? So now your tackles are isolated with the defensive ends, okay, who are standing up, okay, in this 3-4. Okay, your guards and your guards are now working with who? Jalen Carter and Fletcher Cox, and your center is isolated up with Jordan Davis. So your 3 interior linemen are now ISO'd, right? And when they have their defensive end standing up, now your tackles or your tight ends are ISO'd. I don't like that.
It's like 5-on-5.
It's 5-on-5, and I don't.
5 chances for something to go wrong.
Yeah, and I just don't like that. I really don't like that because it doesn't allow for you to ever have the advantage of having your combo blocks. Combo blocks meaning that double teams, okay? We want to block you, Nick. So Kyle and I are going to get shoulder to shoulder. We're going to get our pads underneath you. We're going to move you off the ball. Okay?
You're going to need all 3.
I figured, okay? when they're in that 3-4, which they don't run too often, but I can foresee them doing that, you can't. It's very difficult to run the ball. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say can't.
Oh, you don't think the Cowboys' run game is going to get on track against this team?
I think the Cowboys' run game has been effective. They're just not doing it enough. Right?
I would be stunned if they get going against
I agree. I don't feel as if they're going to going against
Dak's thrown the ball 35 times.
But guess what?
Minimum.
If they come in, so that's the 3-4. If they come out in their base 4-3 like they've been showing on film that they like to go to, I think that you can move these guys off the ball.
So does that turn it into? Is that blocking schemes?
Yes.
So that's when you leave one of those guys on the backside.
You're going to leave him backside. You got to run away from him. Yeah, you do not. Let me reiterate this.
Somebody take the solo shot.
Do not run between the guard and the center. Those 3 holes are not for you. Okay, holes 0, 1, and 2 are not for you. Go outside. You have to go outside and run away from these guys. That's one thing that the Washington Commanders put on film this past week. They stretched these guys out. They made these big fellas get up and move, and it got them out of that 3-4. It forced them to get back into a 4-3 because now they needed to be able to stretch the line of scrimmage. Right? When you're in that 3-4, you can attack the outsides. Mm-hmm. Okay, you can make these guys move, so they go to a 4-3 and they just align there. Okay, but what happens when you're in a 4-3? It gives you the advantage because you can now do what? You have your double teams.
Yeah.
Okay, and you can work your double teams, and it allows for your receiver. You need a receiver. I don't know who it is to come in there and hit the doggone safety because their safety. They have a new safety.
Yeah, his name's Kevin Byard.
Oh, Kevin Byard.
I got a quick question about this new safety.
Yeah.
Being his second game with the team, how quick do you think he picks up everything? Is it automatic as a safety, or is it a couple weeks, learn the system, then you'll have it down, or is it like, man, let's just try to be done by week 12?
I can't speak to how complicated their system is, but what I'm seeing on film, I don't know what their responsibilities are as safeties in terms of how much they're commanding what's going on up front and all that jazz, but they're running base coverages. They're just doing a great job of disguising them. And primarily they want to get to man coverage. So as he wants to get involved, I can see him wanting to get involved in the box, right? And if he wants to get involved in the box, you're going to need a receiver who wants to get in there and get physical. If you want to establish this running game, otherwise he will disrupt everything. Even if you take care of all your responsibilities up front with the front five, and the second level, if you don't have a receiver who is willing to get in there and get physical and knock him off, I'm talking about ear hole him, okay? I'm not talking about trying to injure the guy, but I'm talking about old school football right here, okay? We call it ear hole, okay? He's coming downhill. Only thing you see is his ear hole. You try to put him on his butt, okay? You have to have a guy that has that intensity that wants to do that. Otherwise, you cannot have your splash plays because that's the whole reason why they brought him in here was to be a disruptor and shut down ability to run. So 3-4, no bueno. Okay, 4-3, you can run the ball. Okay, man coverage, you have to get off the ball. You have to get off the ball. Continue to move these guys around on the line of scrimmage. Continue to move Kevontae Turpin. We saw that versus man coverage, when we saw him come in motion. We saw CeeDee Lamb over the past few games. He's been coming in motion and getting free, even just coming across the formation, nothing crazy. It creates leverage issues for them. I foresee that being all positive. I say all this to say this is a team that, as good as they are personnel-wise, defensively they can be exposed. They can really be exposed defensively if you get them moving laterally. If you get them moving laterally, you can expose these guys because they're not great in coverage, even though they have some good defensive backs. Okay, they got James Bradbury, they have Darius Slay, they have guys that are really good in man-to-man coverage. But if you get moving out the pocket, if you get this line of scrimmage moving, then you're a threat to everything else that they want to do. They want to line up and just come downhill. That's their game plan. If they, in a perfect world, we got our big fellas against your fellas, and we're bigger and stronger than you. Straight up. Straight bully ball. Right? They're not going to blitz a whole bunch. They'll do it every so often. And whenever they do blitz, it's usually a nickel blitz. Okay? They'll bring somebody from the secondary. But then that exposes them in terms of getting you can get the ball out and do hot routes. I'm not sure if they're running hot routes in this particular offense, meaning that when a blitz shows, you cut your route off and you get the ball right now. Okay? I'm not sure if they have that in there, but put it in.
Make it happen.
It's not difficult. And when they do decide to blitz, make them pay for it, make them go back to their base defense and run the ball. I know that sounds crazy. Against these guys, but you have to stretch these guys out and you have to get them running. If you get these boys with their hands on their hips and they're huffing and puffing, you got them.
There are a couple questions I have. I know y'all probably have some questions as well. When we come back, I'm just going to say these two words. I'm going to see your reaction to it. Screen game.
Mm-hmm.
Not much of a reaction. We'll talk about that when we come back here on Talkin Cowboys.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag & Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag & Turf, the official Ag & Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Are you ready to take coffee off your grocery list forever? Black Rifle Coffee Club is here to help. As a coffee club member, you'll get your favorite coffees roasted, packaged, and shipped to your door free of charge on your preferred schedule. Set it, forget it, and never run low on coffee again. Members also get exclusive deals on coffee, products, and discounts from partner brands. Ease your mind and let Black Rifle worry about your coffee supply. Go to blackriflecoffee.com to join the coffee club today.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
This segment is brought to you by Invisalign, the official smile of the Dallas Cowboys. Welcome back in to a Thursday edition. We just got to hear from Isaiah Stanback and QB Vision here over the last couple of minutes. Now, I mentioned screen game going into the break.
Correct.
You're talking about getting to the numbers, getting outside, going to the sideline, using the flats, and trying to stretch these guys out. Is it going to be fruitful for this Cowboys offense, or would it be fruitful for them to maybe try and get that screen game going? We've talked about it a couple times on this show. Is this a week where you can maybe look to pull that off?
I would say no.
Okay.
Collective. The reason why I say no is because this is a press man team, meaning that these guys are going to be in the face of your receivers, so it's going to be a very long block for your receivers, depending on the type of screen that you're facilitating, and it increases the probability of, A, them getting off the block, and B, you getting a holding call. The second reason why I would say no is because these guys are not pass rushers in that sense. They have Reddick, right? They have Sweat, those guys that are stand-up ends primarily, or they got their hand in the ground in 4-3. Those guys will get upfield, but their interior guys are two-gap guys. Like Davis, Jalen Carter, Fletcher Cox are going to put two hands on you, grab your chest pads, and drive you back 2 to 3 yards. That's what they want to do. And if they're engaged with you in blocking, it's very hard to shed a 330-plus pound man and just chuck him out the way as if he's a piece of paper, right? Usually you want to run screen games for teams like Dallas that are uberly aggressive. Everybody up front is big, fast. That's fast. They want to get up the field really, really quickly, so you catch them slipping, right? Use their aggressiveness against them. That isn't this team. They create pressures by bull rush. That's how they do it. They grab you and they just push you back. We're bigger than you. We're stronger than you. So it's not the team because your guys can't get off the block. Right? If they're engaged with a guy, they can't shed them. It's very difficult to shed that guy and then get your alignment up to the next level to start trying to get out and block. So I would say no, unless you're running receiver screens and you can catch these guys in a too high shell. Pre-snap, like I said, a lot of times they like to rotate. But again, you're going to need your receivers to have the best blocking game of their life. I mean, you're asking a lot of these guys. I don't see anybody on this roster that you would crown that's our guy to go out there and block.
Yeah.
Like when I was in New England, I wasn't the guy that was expected to be the conversion guy for the big play, right? I wasn't the Michael Gallup to make the big catch and get the first down. Like I was, my primary role was I was the big receiver on the team, and we're gonna run the screen game all day long with Wes Welker, and I don't care who's out there. I'm bigger and stronger than them. I'm gonna pick those guys up and move them out the way. That was the confidence that the team had, so that was my role, right? I was that guy, and I was a clear-out guy for Randy Moss. Those are my two roles, right? So I don't see anybody who has that particular role on this offense. Last year, you had Noah Brown. The past few years, you had Noah Brown. That was a guy that you crowned and said, hey, come in this short motion and go knock the heck out of that doggone safety. Hey, come in short motion and block this defensive end. We just need you to hold him for a couple seconds. Or, hey, we're going there and lock up on these receivers, on these defensive backs so we can get this bubble screen going. They don't have that guy. At least we haven't seen it on film.
And at what point did you go to Belichick and go, Bill, it's my time to eat?
Nah, never. Never. Hey, know your role. You shut your mouth and know your role.
I was going to ask you about the Dak thing. Is that, he had talked after the game the other night about how he didn't run as much against San Francisco. And after that game, he looked back and I thought maybe I need to use, when I say run, I don't mean necessarily to gain yards, but to buy time, get outside the pocket. And he's done that the last two games. How important do you think that will be in this game?
Very. Because these guys don't want to run. If you can find a way to get in the way of Hassan Reddick and get in the way of Josh Sweat, you have a chance, right, to get outside the pocket. The reason why I don't like the 3-4 is the 3-4 bottles everything up.
Yeah.
These guys are so wide, they're standing up, and they can see everything. I can stand up, I see everything, and I keep everything inside. So as I come downhill towards the quarterback, I'm literally constricting the quarterback pocket. When they're in that 4, and then you talk about the inside pressure, those guys are getting moved backwards or stalemating. There's just nowhere to go, right? It's literally like you're getting suffocated. When they're in that 4-3, I think you can get the edge. I think you can take Ferguson and bring him in motion and seal the edge and now get Dak out on the go. That's what you want to see. You start getting some rev routes. You have to be in condensed sets. You have to be in bunch sets. We're going to show some things in film room where these guys get exposed because they're playing so much man. You have to make it hard for them to allocate who has who. And if you're just lining up, like we saw in the first 5-6 games of the season, if you're just lining up and you're saying, okay, all right, we know you're a man, stick me, you're not giving yourself the best advantage. Okay, if you put some things in motion now, guess what? Okay, I got you. No, you got him. Okay, in, out. Like you're confusing them. You have to do that. And I think if you can get on the edge and bring your splits down, bring your motions down, you can cause enough confusion. You can get some guys out open. I do think they can be exposed in that regard, but you have to do that on a consistent basis, and you still have to be able to run the ball.
There's a lot that goes into this matchup.
Yeah.
There's a lot. You honestly made me feel a little bit better about this matchup because I'm watching film and I'm seeing a lot of the things you're talking about, the strength of the interior, the way that these guys run to the football. I mean, they swarm the ball. There's times when there's 6 or 7 jerseys at the ball. And then, of course, you look at the names in the secondary. I saw something similar of where they can get separation. Dallas could find separation because Washington found it. Because some of these other teams at Philadelphia, despite winning or losing, they found separation. The Jets had plenty of it early in the year. This secondary has a chance to be exposed.
Yes.
And that's where I feel like Dallas has struggled the most through the first 5 weeks. But then these last couple weeks have started to figure it out a little bit better. Yeah. So maybe if they can continue moving in the right direction, they have a shot on Sunday. Because going into this week, I just knowing Philadelphia, knowing the roster that's at hand, I didn't see much of a shot. Now I'm starting to see there's some spots here.
There's a lot of opportunities.
There's kinks in the armor all the way through.
But you need to get out the pocket to do them.
Got to. But they've done that the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, very much so.
Dallas did it against both of the LA teams.
These guys are aggressive. So much like Dallas is aggressive in the front 7, and teams want to take advantage of how aggressive Micah Parsons is and D-Law and everybody else, also Digizua. That aggressiveness is the same for the Eagles, but it's in the secondary.
Yeah.
And these guys want to be the guy to make the play. They want to come out. There's plays that are on film from last week specifically where there was a whack play action in the backfield. You have a safety in a corner that are literally 20 yards away from the line of scrimmage, and they're still looking in the backfield like, can I do something about it? And guys are running right by them. So like they're nosy, right? They are very nosy, and they get their eyes stuck in places that they shouldn't be. The only difference is when they make those mistakes, you have to make them pay for it. If you miss out on those opportunities, you will kick yourself the next day because you probably won't have the result that you want.
Quick question. You had mentioned in the last segment about how, utilizing the motion that they found last week would probably be quite a bit of success and to the audience. 33 times they used motion in the first 6 games, 18 times in week 7. Do you look at the game that they had against Miami and the success that they had defensively and maybe give a little bit of pause to the motion just because Miami, they're motioning on 80-something% of plays and they only scored 10 points offensively in that game? Do you have a little bit of pause looking at that?
No, I don't, because Miami missed on a lot of opportunities. They really did. Miami missed on a ton.
Was that the biggest catalyst there?
I think
not executing?
So. I think they just didn't execute. Yeah. I think Tyreek Hill dropped at least 2 touchdowns that I remember off bat.
That, yeah.
So it was less how effective Philly was and more so on the fact that Miami just missed on some big opportunities. Yeah. That's not to discourage anybody that's listening, but I'm just telling the truth. There was some plays in there that would have really blown that game open that were missed. And that's what I'm saying. If you miss on those opportunities, you would kick yourself because they don't come around a lot.
Yeah. Of course, tomorrow, say with the Just Friday, we'll be making our picks. I want to start doing this. We haven't done this yet, but I want to at least have John pick the Cowboys game on the air here on Thursdays. So, especially with it being a big week.
On the spot.
It is kind of on the spot.
I haven't wavered on this at all.
Who are you picking for Sunday's matchup and why?
Oh, I'm picking the Eagles. I just don't see
the
that.
mic throw.
I don't see the Cowboys doing enough in the run game to be able to win this game.
It's going to be tough.
I will say that if the Cowboys are to win this game and I don't get to watch it, I would say that there would be a chance that my belief would be that they cause Jalen Hurts to turn the ball over, whether it be fumbling, throwing interceptions. I do think that that's on the table for them. But if he takes care of the football, basically my biggest takeaway, I'll say this. I think Jalen Hurts just has to play solid for the Eagles to win. I think Dak Prescott has to be great for the Cowboys to win. And it's possible. I mean, heck, it's a 3-point spread. It's not like this is some I don't know how they're going to do it. Like, they obviously can. They're rivals. But since the schedule came out and the way the season's unfolded, the way the Cowboys play at home, the way the Cowboys play on the road, nothing's changed for me. I think the Eagles win this game. I'll say 27-24. But I think Cowboys win when they come to AT&T Stadium.
Just fun fact real quick.
Okay.
When Jalen Hurts is under pressure, okay, not like Dak. Dak throws 70% completion, throws really good high touchdown probability there. When Jalen Hurts is under pressure, he throws 53% completion, has 6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions.
There's your key.
Put
right
pressure
there.
on that man.
He doesn't like it this year.
Yeah, certainly.
The more this week has gone on, the more confident I feel about this matchup, which is dangerous.
That's why we study, baby.
And that's why you hit the film. The more, on paper going into Monday, it was like, okay, got a big win. They needed it. They got a big time win against the Rams because, man, Philadelphia's coming up. This is going to be tough. I'll make my official pick tomorrow. But the more this week goes on, the more I am confident that the Cowboys are going to have a chance at winning this game. They've got to execute. And honestly, I love the way you put that. Jalen Hurts has to play well. Dak Prescott has to play out of his mind. Even if it's not out of his mind, at least great.
Well, I think he just has to stay on where he's at right now. Like these last 2 games, It's been ratcheted up, and he has to go another level for them to win this game. On the road, hostile environment, best team in the NFL, probably the most talented roster in the NFL. And he's played well against the Eagles in the past. It's not like he's going to go into that stadium and be nervous, like, I don't know what we're getting ourselves into. He knows, but he has to play great.
Yeah, against this defense that Isaiah just explained.
And also, I really feel like they have to get out to a lead early if they're going to win this game. I don't think they can fall behind and then play catch up. I don't think that will happen.
They're 0-2 having to play catch up. They haven't had a come from behind win.
It's not the offense is
yet
for them.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't think they've trailed in a game that they've won.
I'm
thinking about this.
Other than maybe like a one-score
I think the Patriots
field
went up
goal
3-0.
early. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like other than a first drive deal. That might be the only time they trailed in a win.
Other factor with me, too, is that this will be the toughest road environment they play in.
Yes. No
all
doubt
season
about that.
with Buffalo all season.
Yep.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Yeah,
when you
Buffalo.
factor in the rivalry, for sure. For sure.
RDJ on the text line said, "Good job, Isaiah, explaining the Eagles' defense against the Cowboys' offense. Well done. Appreciate the insight."
Appreciate you, bro.
It is always good stuff. I'm not just saying that because I'm on the show with you. Like, it is very, very good stuff. Like,
insightful.
And to be honest with you, I don't think that there's enough of that in the league altogether, especially nationally. A lot of stuff you get is a lot of the hot take, like headline stuff. You don't get a lot of that behind the scenes. Hey, this is why this team's doing this. Is why this is working. So yeah, it is always great stuff.
Appreciate it.
Very nice.
Good Matata.
I disagree. No,
we need some kind of debate on this show. No debate. It's a big time matchup this week. Cowboys Philadelphia coming up at 3:25 on Sunday. Also, no debate. The Texas Rangers are world champions. I'm excited.
Was that your
Texas
excited?
Rangers?
That was your excited
That's
voice?
my excited.
Kyle's still drunk on champagne.
Exactly.
Yeah, just wait until tomorrow. Out of the parade. I'm going to be drunk on a lot more things. All right, here we go. Chris Beam in the back, Isaiah Stanback, John Machota, Nick Harris. I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long from Talkin Cowboys. We'll see you tomorrow for more.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?